When did you get back from Beijing? I gotta know. Ooh, Molly, are you stuck in nostalgia like me? I wanna know.
Good evening. All right, so a couple things I want to talk about today. Not any stories this time around, maybe next time. Actually, speaking of the stories, when I started thinking about the things I've been through, most of it happened before I started carrying a gun. It was things that happened when I was young, and I got out of a lot of dangerous situations. Luck, but there's a few more where I had my gun on me, and I'll go over some of those stories later. But what I'm doing right now is I'm modifying a magazine, and these Korean mags, you know what? And I'm not talking about the SGM mags, not these, not the SGM mags. These are fine. These work flawlessly. I mean, A1. I modify them, and they work in my 10 millimeter. So they're 445. You guys know that already. I modify 45 mags to work in a 10 millimeter. Been doing that since about 2009, and it was just stupid that they didn't make a mag for 10 millimeter. It was really dumb, and they still don't. 10 millimeter is actually kind of picking up in popularity, and they still don't have anything. So you can see I modified that, and it works perfect. It works absolutely perfect. The only thing is, like you just seen, when you release the mag, you have to actually pull it out. Just got to use a little bit of strength, and that's all. So I'm modifying this mag, and I posted a couple videos today in WHAMMY, and they were about bullets and penetration and human beings. I want to talk about the mind. Everybody's different. That's the beauty of the world and the beauty of life. Everyone is different, right? I'm always been the kind of person that questions the norm, and I question the status quo. I question what the wave is. And when I see these gelatin tests, I mean, the first thing I think of is, well, why are they doing it in that? That's just gel. That's not a human body. There's no bones in it. There's no muscle in it. I mean, it really, if anything, represents some fat, but that's about it. We've got gallons and gallons of blood inside of us, organs, muscle, and bones. And so it never really made a lot of sense to me why they did that. Now, one of the videos explained that the point of it really is consistency, so that they, when you're testing it and everyone's doing their videos, there's a consistency. Gelatin is a consistency that, okay, with this bullet it goes this far, with this bullet it goes this far on the gelatin. And he also showed and explained that depending on the temperature of the gelatin will also affect how the bullet reacts to the gelatin. And so he got some of the Underwood penetrator bullets, and he said something that I knew this in my mind, in my heart. I did, but when the whole world's telling you something, sometimes you just go, okay, maybe they're right. You have a tendency to do that. Me, I do question it, and I continue to. So here's what I'm getting at. Hollow points. Everyone talks hollow point, hollow point, hollow point. You carry hollow points. When you go to the range, you shoot full metal jacket. Some of you may agree with me, some of you may not. That's fine. But I think in the world of guns, we kind of get caught up in these little, very, very minute differences. I was talking with Al actually on PM, and I said, with 380 ammo, maybe it's a good idea to carry full metal jacket. And he actually didn't hear me say 380. He just heard full metal jacket, and so he goes, oh, no, I don't want to do that. And then the bullet goes through somebody and hits someone else. Now the concern is legit, but I think we want to kind of revisit this whole over penetration thought. Now, some of you are hunters like myself, and Al, you've killed more animals than I have. I know you have, and with multiple weapons. But when I shot my elk, my first elk, 14, 15 years old, that was a 270. Now that elk was a spike. He was about 600 pounds, 550, 600 pounds. He was about no further than 50 yards away. No further than 70 yards away. I'll say 70 yards. Now I shot this thing in the neck. We know there's bone in the neck, obviously. I didn't shoot for the shoulder. My grandpa always told me, shoot for the neck. So I shot for the neck. There was no through and through. The bullet did not go in one side and exit the other. Now that's a 270. That's a 270. And it didn't go through. Now, my grandfather's 7mm Magnum. I mean, my father, excuse me. My grandpa had one too, but my father's 7mm Magnum, he did have a through and through. He had a through and through. And so it just depends on a lot, right? It depends on a lot. It depends on where you hit it, how much bone the bullet runs into. It just depends on a lot. So when it comes to human beings, especially when you're aiming center mass, listen, when you're aiming at the chest, there's nothing but bone through here. Okay, this is bone like central right here, and then you have some down here for your rib cage, but here, because you got a lot protecting your chest here. Okay, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of hard bone and organs and blah blah blah. But you gotta get through the bone. So you gotta get through the clothing and then the bone to even get in there and hit the heart or the liver or whatever, vital organs, right? And so, the guy in the video says, hey, let's go see about this overpenetration thing. I'm going to go shoot this dead pig with this, it's the Lehigh Extreme Penetrator ammo and Extreme Defense. And he shot it. There's no through and through. There was no through and through at all. And so it got me thinking, and I'm like, you know what? Back to the 380 before I jump on that. My point was 380 ammo. First of all, 380s are usually very small guns with small barrels, short barrels. So it doesn't have a lot of velocity on it. And the goal is to get through, punch through that bone, get in there and hit what you need to hit. Because the reason why, remember, the FBI was looking for another round is because the 9mm had went through that guy's shoulder and it stopped short of his vital organs. Okay. Now we're going, our ammunition, our hollow points have advanced since then. You're right. Our ammunition has. But we're still not focusing on a deep enough penetration in my mind. We are focusing on just this gelatin thing, and it's not accurate to me. And so he shot the pig, and what he did then was he had the gelatin. He had a couple slabs of ribs in plastic, put that around it, and then like 3 layers of denim, jeans, clothing, and shot through it, and it went through the layers of the clothes. It went through both slabs of ribs and actually punched through the bone, and then went inside the gelatin. And it didn't, when he did it that time with the 2 slabs and the extra layers of denim, it stopped. I want to say it stopped in the, I got to look at it again, 8 inches deep. But before, it was going 16 inches deep after going through a slab of ribs and denim. I want to get through. I want to punch through. 380 is not a round that's moving really fast and carrying a lot of kinetic energy with it. And so, yeah, I'm really challenging the norm right here. And I'm going to go ahead and say I think it's a good idea for people who carry 380 to carry full metal jacket. Just get through. See, this whole thing about the hollow points and mushrooming, right, is you want that permanent wound cavity. Well, the other reason why it's good to mushroom like that is something this simple. I put something on there about my father. My father could have been paralyzed very easily. Okay? Bullet just missed his spinal cord. Just missed it. It went right, just not even an inch away from his spine, and curved, went down through, shattered his hip bone. Now, let's say which it was a high-powered rifle, but let's say it was a handgun. Had that happened, the bullet goes in, and it's, you know, the size that it is, and then as it hits, it goes through, it peels, it gets that mushroom, so you're getting these very small extra width here with the bullet, and that can be a determiner of putting the bad guy down, because hundreds of times has there been situation where the person's like, hey, if it would have been 3/4 of an inch closer, you would have been dead. If it was, you know, half a centimeter, you know, extra to your right, then it would have made you paralyzed. Well, when that mushrooms is giving you an extra, you know, a little bit more, and so that makes sense to me, you know, of a bullet expanding so that it's a little wider and more. It increases your potential of hitting something to put that guy out of the fight. Does that make sense? And so that's why hollow point makes sense to me. Full Metal Jacket is not mushrooming, but it can change form, and it's punching through. The reason why I know it changes form is because when I worked at a gun range for 5 years, we had to go clean out the backstop and you know, just clean up the range, and you would see Full Metal Jackets crunched up after hitting, you know, the backstop, and they do make a, you know, weird form. Like, it doesn't just stay like this. If it hits something hard like bone, it is going to make a random odd shape, which is, it can, like I just said, it can be a good thing, whitening, which is why I'll never talk down on 45. I'm not going to talk down on 45 because it's a larger bullet, increasing the chances of hitting the spine and causing, you know, the bad guy to be paralyzed and fall down or whatever. You know, it gives you just that little extra to increase the percentage of hitting a vital organ, because it's all about shot placement. It's all about shot placement. So that's why I said that with 380, that it may be a good idea to carry Full Metal Jacket to make sure it punches through. We don't want the mushroom in stock, because mess around with a 380, you know, and you put those slabs, couple slabs and 4 layers of denim, and go through that with a 380 mushroom, it might not make it in the jail. And I'm just seriously, it might not make it through the jail. So let's get something hard that's going to keep going. It's going to punch through and get through the bone and still be able to go forward a little bit. You know, you still got bones behind you, you know, on your back. Okay. So that's how I'm looking at things, is I just think that I just think it's not as clear as it can be, and you know, science continuously grows, you know, and we're just in a stage right now where right now 9mm is the thing, and right now, you know, it's hollow point or you're stupid. That's the end thing right now. It wasn't always the end thing. There was a point in time where it was big to have lead, just a ball of lead going to a man, because the thing was, hey, if the bullet doesn't kill him, the lead inside of his bloodstream will kill him. I mean, that's straight up. You had not just only, you know, a piece of metal going through you, but a piece of metal that has lead, and you got more than one problem. And so that's just where we're at. We're in the 9mm phase right now. I feel like I want something that really punches through, that'll hit multiple bones and break through multiple bones. The fear of, let me turn this down. I'm watching Olympus Has Fallen as I do my little work on my guns and whatnot. I'm always watching my gun flicks. Olympus Has Fallen is one of my favorites. But anyway, the phase. So I actually began to carry these. I looked into it last night. I didn't post them last night, but I looked into them last night. So then I went to my local gun store, and it's crazy. The coincidence is bananas. They just got them in yesterday as I started looking into it. And for you guys who haven't seen my project gun, this is it. Okay, Glock 22. But it has a 9mm conversion barrel. Okay, threaded. It's an Alpha Wolf. So the Glock 22 is now converted into a 9mm. And I did absolutely everything by hand. There's almost nothing in here stock. It's the original frame and the original slide, but I modified both. And then every piece in here is aftermarket. And other parts are just replaced, OEM stock parts. So, yep, that's my baby. This is my pride and joy right here, because it's my first full, build. And I was going to do the 80% build, and I decided instead I want to do something different. I wanted to find the most beat up gun possible and beautify it, and that's what I did with that. It was fugly when I first bought it, and now listen, when you shoot this, the grip it's crazy. It's the best grip I've ever felt. And I did the stippling, I did everything to it. I did all the modifications. But anyhow, I went in and they had, let me grab this. I went in and he's like, yeah, we got some Underwood in, some 90 grain. And actually, the guys at the front desk, they laughed at it. They're like, "Oh, this is so dumb, 90 grain 9mm." And I go, "Yeah, 90 grains sucks, right?" And it's like, "Yeah, I mean, it's really light, I'm like, "Yeah, like a 77 grain bullet." It's like, yeah, 223, and and I think it hit him. It hit his head. He's like, "Oh, well, it's a good point." He's like, "But a 223 is moving a lot faster." Yeah, it is. But these are moving at 1,400 feet per second. And although it's not AR-15 5.56 speed, it's fast, and it'll kill you. And so this is what I'm carrying right now. This is what I'm carrying. This is my opinion, and this is my choice. This is what I decide to do. Maybe one day a lot of people will gravitate towards this idea that I have. I'm not afraid to be out there, jump out there and be different. I just challenge, and I'm not doing it just for the heck of being different, but it just really makes sense to me. Get through bone, and like I said, I'm a hunter, shot animals, shot a lot of animals, and these bullets aren't going through the animal like that. I mean, sometimes it does. You've heard of some coyotes getting shot with, a 9 or whatever, not a 9, but a 10mm. I've heard of a 10mm going through a coyote. But I've also heard of 10 millimeter, not coyote but wolf, and it didn't go all the way through. Okay, so it just depends. It depends on so much. Depends on where the bullet hits. Shot placement, shot placement, shot placement. And that's how I look at it. That's what I believe. You know, you've all that stuff is just nonsense to me unless the bullet hits something to kill you. Just like that. Permanent wound channel. Yeah, that's a cavity, not channel. Permanent wound cavity. I'm not knocking that. And actually, these create a larger wound cavity than the hollow points, the up-to-date hollow points of today. Look at that video. I posted it in WHAMMY today. It really causes a huge permanent wound cavity. 90 grain, 9 millimeter, Extreme Defender, I believe is what I have. Yeah, Extreme Defender. 1400 feet per second, Underwood. This is my carry ammo. 19 rounds of it. This is what I choose to do. So, you guys put your comments down there on, your outlook on it, what you believe. I do want to put this in there. A while ago I posted a video of, not a video, it was a link of a guy who said, a lot of you guys probably seen this, and what it was about is a cop who said he always carries at least 145 rounds on him. I believe that's the number. And it was because he got into a gunfight. He had his 45, and he got into a gunfight with this criminal. And he first had to shoot through his windshield. And that's another thing. Okay, that's another thing. I want to bring that up. These things punch through and they keep going. Okay, they keep going. They hit hard stuff and go. Okay, not so much that it'll go through a pig, when you shoot him in the shoulder, but it's strong enough to get through glass, and then still get inside of you. These are things you got to think about. Okay, somebody on the other side of a door, a thin wall, if you had to. Say you're inside of your home, you barricaded yourself in a room or something. I'm just making stuff up, but just because the world is so crazy and situations are never what you think. For me to make up a thought that you would barricade yourself in your own room if burglars came through probably sounds crazy. But when shit hits the fan, it's crazy. And so, what if you need to shoot through the door and still be able to go through this guy's thick coat, right? Then punch through his bone and get through into the heart. A 380 a 380 hollow point is not gonna go through a freaking door and then through a thick ass coat plus shirts if it's winter time plus bone and then get to the heart. Not happening. Maybe a full metal jacket. Okay. And I've seen what 9mm does to certain things. I know somebody who shot through their front door, Art, and it cleared it. It went through, but there wasn't much bullet left once it got through. And so anyhow, that's my outlook on that. Sorry, ADD. The guy shot this dude with the 45 in this gunfight. Bullets went through the windshield, hit the guy. He finally was, had to hurry up and jump out the car because sitting inside of the car was a death wish. And it was just too dangerous. So he eventually was able to get out of the car And during this fight, he hit this guy 13 times with a 45. It went through the window and then into him. 13 45 bullets. That guy kept going. That's crazy. And so, you know, this whole penetration thing, the bullet, the 45, because it was going through the window and then going into his body, it wasn't punching through a bone. It wasn't getting certain organs. Now, there's other things involved, but when they did the autopsy on the guy, said there was no alcohol or drugs in him. He was just a maniac. You know, and that's, so just think about that. I mean, that I'm not saying that people have died from one shot of a 45. We know that, okay? Common sense, guys. There's hundreds of men who have died from one shot of 9mm, one shot of 40, one shot of 45. There's hundreds of people who have died from Full Metal Jacket. Listen, don't be so, you know, caught up in this stuff to believe that a piece of metal that weighs 120 grains, you know, this or 115, that this piece of metal, if somebody could throw it at you hard enough that it would go through your body. If this went through your heart, ripped a hole through your heart, it wouldn't kill you. I don't care if it's Full Metal Jacket. If it hits the right spot, it's gonna rip through it. Period. Period. It's gonna kill you. So I just, maybe we just need to go back to the basics first. Clear your mind of all this crazy stuff, man, and just try to think a little more rational about this stuff. The goal is a gun is made to throw an object at a person so hard that it goes through them and hits some vital organs. When people were fighting with swords, you want to cut through and you want to hit a vital organ, cut through and pull out. Okay? You want to hit those horrible spots. Because if you don't hit the right spot, that guy can keep on going no matter how big the bullet is. I don't care how cool your bullet is. Okay? My dad got shot with a 30-06. He's still alive. Because the bullet didn't go in the right spots. You know, it changed his life forever. But it didn't kill him. Thank God. You know, I'm here. And so what is any round without you know, shot placement? I don't care what bullet it is. I mean, unless we're talking something crazy, but you know, specifically handgun rounds, you gotta hit the organ, man. You gotta hit the spot that kills them. Now, has there been people where a bullet hit the organ, they still lived? Yes. Yes. And every shade gray and every other thing in between black and white. Yes, everything has happened. Okay, but the point, like I said, get the piece of metal through your body and get it past the bone, rip through tissue, get past your skull. You know how hard your skull is? You know, you need to get through there, rip up through that, all that brain gush, and get all through that. But it's got to punch through first, man. So I've talked you guys to death by now. I'll